Hello, simulation farmers. Oh, that's just something I'm obsessed with right now. It's an intro that they use on a show on Netflix, believe it or not, called Midnight Gospel. And it's a cartoon. And if you want to check it out, it's really crazy. If you're interested at all in kind of all these weird topics like simulation theory and multiverse and timeline jumping and all these crazy things, you might want to check that out because it's pretty cool. But what I'm here about here today is just to share a video with you. A friend of mine, Gordon Smith Duran, has a Telegram group, and I'm in that group. And he asked me and another friend in the group, Vicky Cook, to come on and just talk about, where we thought things were right now. And it was a fun conversation. Gordon's a really great guy. I actually met him a couple of years ago on my awakening tour and did some hypnosis with him. He does hypnosis in a little bit different way. He helps you contact your own higher self. And to me, I think that's awesome because I'm all about right now about finding out how to get in more contact with myself, raise my own vibration, and basically live a life of abundance without fear. And he's been really instrumental in helping me get there. And as you're going to see, we both kind of share those same ideas, as does Vicky. So I hope you like this conversation and a little bit of a look inside how we feel right now. All right. Thanks.
Hello and welcome to Peaceful Rebellion. Well, we are here with the lovely Vicky and the lovely Val. Hello.
Hello. Hi, Gordon.
Hiya. Hiya. Now, we were supposed to have Harry here as well, but he couldn't be here because he's working. So we're going to do a separate interview with him. So there's the three of us. Now, the idea of this is for you all to get to know Vicky and Val a little bit more, and for me to get to know them a little bit more as well. Okay, because they're both doing interesting work at the moment, I think. Yeah. So listen, shall we start with you, Val? Val, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
um well, I guess I'll start at how I woke up, basically.
Okay.
I worked on Wall Street for 10 years. And so money had become a thing for me. That was my identity. I thought that all there was money, and that was how I valued myself. Then I left Wall Street to start my own thing, and 2008 happened. And my husband was a contractor, and I was starting a new business, so I wasn't making money, and his business fell flat. For 3 years, I was able to hold it together. I was, taking money from here, sending money there, holding out but my 401k was wiped out. I was considered a higher net worth individual, but it was all gone. And in 2011, I realized that I could no longer keep up the act, and I crashed and burned. And I had 3 major depression episodes over a span of 4 or 5 years, something like that. I mean, I had a lot of bad things happen. That happened. I lost 2 dogs really early. My father died. My father-in-law died. 2 miscarriages. It was just a lot of trauma all at once. And I just couldn't snap out of it. I couldn't dump the anxiety. While I was doing better at the depression, I wasn't getting so ill. I mean, I was on the couch, literally couldn't move. But I wasn't getting so ill anymore, but I just couldn't get my life in gear. So I decided to turn to psychedelics.
Okay.
So I found a shaman in New York City. I live right outside New York City. And I went to my first ceremony. The first one was MDMA. We did MDMA.
Okay.
But it was all very kosher. We weren't there to get high and go out New York City and have fun. We all had to stay on our little mats, and she was a healer, and she came and worked with each person individually while we were going through this. And it was really eye-opening for me. I didn't have a psychedelic experience, but I definitely had healing. I felt that going on. And so when I got depression again after that, it was much lighter. Then I went for the second one, probably about a year later. And again, more healing, but no really psychedelic experience. So and during that time, I was waking up to certain things. I think like everybody else starts, you wake up to the government, right? And how you're being lied to. And I was in the Navy. So to me, God bless America, I'm a patriot, you know, rah, we're the best, and starting to realize that, oh, this is shit, right? So
Yeah.
all these things started breaking down. And I was starting to doubt my religion, which was Christianity. I was raised as a fundamental Christian, you know, with all that. And then my last experience was with psychedelics was about 3 or 4 years ago. And I said to the woman, my shaman, I said, look, the first 2 crimes were great. I had some healing, but I want a psychedelic experience this time. I want the full. She goes, okay. And so I think we ended up around 7 grams, which I don't know if you know anything about psychedelic mushrooms, but that's called a heroic dose.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And so I can't even explain, there's no really words to explain it to someone who hasn't had an experience, but in 1 second, I was flying through the universe, watching stars go by, and just like craziness. And in one part of it, I was crowned in a ceremony in a forest. Like I was wearing this gown, I looked like a fairy or somebody from Lord of the Rings or something, and they put this crown on me. But what came to me instantly was that everything is sacred, everything is divine. You know, I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about that. And because I had said like, oh, I've wasted my life, and nothing's wasted, nothing, everything's fine. And so I left that experience with totally different eyes. And that, I think, is really what I consider when I woke up, because I realized that even beyond what I thought, beyond the conspiracy, there was more to know. And that's right around the time I think I found your group. It feels like it's been quite a while.
Yeah, I think it has.
Yeah, we talked the first time. I think I saw you on somebody else's channel. I forget who.
Mark Atwood, perhaps?
Probably Mark Atwood, yeah, because that was still during my conspiracy phase. And we had a session together, and you helped me even talk to my higher self, which I didn't understand a lot about. So that was great. So that was just one of the other things that clicked the box.
Yeah.
So that's kind of my story in a nutshell. Of course, there's a lot more details, but
for sure. Cool. Excellent. All right. So already we're into psychedelic experiences. Cool. Well, Vicky, why don't you give us an overview of you?
Okay. Hello, everybody. Well, I'm in the UK, so it's cold here. And yeah, I was thinking about this, how I would introduce myself, and I would say that I was a person that loved other human beings, loved being around everybody, really social person. And then I had an awakening, and I decided that I didn't like anybody, and I didn't want to have anything to do with any other human beings for quite a while. And now I'm just starting to come back again to actually quite liking people. And so that's like my very general description of where I've been. But I've done a few jobs in my lifetime so far. I was in financial services, which most people can't believe about me. I was a childminder, which was the worst job I've ever done in my life. And then I suddenly had a bit of a change of heart, and I decided that I wanted to get into fitness. And so I work as an exercise specialist. And during my job as an exercise specialist and helping people to overcome issues, I had my proper awakening. And the reason I had my awakening was because I could see what was going on in the world and how health and the food industry were managed, and it didn't make any sense to me. And that was my awakening. And yeah, I went through quite a few dark nights of the soul over 2020. Before that, I was awakening to it in different places, but not as a whole. But over 2020, I really just couldn't get my head around what was going on in the world. And I was looking at my clients and looking at how they were suffering, and all I wanted to do was help them, and couldn't understand what was going on. And that's where my awakening happened. But I went through quite a while of being angry at the world, and like we said, all the conspiracy theories. I've found out about you, Gordon, by watching Mark Atwood. That was the first time I saw you, and decided I wanted to do your hypnosis. So I think I've done every one of your hypnosis
You have been on
courses.
every
So
course.
everyone. I'm a bit like that. If I get into something, I throw everything at it, and I really love doing it, and it's made a big difference to me. But probably the one thing, I haven't done psychedelics. I've never really been into any of that. I've never really been a big drinker. I'm not very good about not being in control. So I don't like to give away control so easily, which is probably something I need to learn to do. But my awakening has been helped by meditation, and also, you know, doing the hypnosis side of things as well has really made a massive difference to my life. And that is where I feel I'm starting to open up to things. And like you said about, I'm not really into conspiracy theories anymore. I'm not angry at anybody anymore. I don't feel like I need to change anybody. The only person I feel like I need to change now is me. And through doing that, I want to be a good example to the people around me and help the world to become a better place just by that. So that's me, really.
Super, yeah, lovely. And what stands out for both of you when you're talking about this, you know, this whistle stop tour through your life, which it is. I mean, you obviously had to leave out a few details there, yeah. But both of you have kind of almost dismissed the conspiracy bit, you know, like, well, and that was done. I went through that and that was done. And the focus is very much on where you are now in terms of spirituality. Do you see that as the, you know, how do you see your kind of where you are in terms of spirituality these days, Val?
Well, I mean, I do agree. I feel like that's a step for a lot of people, is to see the conspiracy stuff and then to move on. I will admit that I am nowhere near being done with it. I know in my heart and in my head that it's not important, and the less I pay attention to it, the less it affects me.
Mm-hmm.
But it was just such a big part of my life. It's almost like habit, right? You
Sure.
got to see like what's happening next, what's going on. You know, Biden just came out with war whatever to Congress that we're officially at war now. And I'm like, okay, why are you even like giving this a second thought? Who cares? Whatever. It's not, you know, I think how I've come to look at it now is that if I want to manifest the things I want to manifest, it's not going to happen if I'm staying in this dark gloom circle of a constant, like, repeating the same stuff. Look, we know what they're doing, right? We know all the things that I know. I don't know if you're putting this on YouTube or Rumble or what, so I'll try and be careful.
YouTube, yeah, be very careful with
yes,
what.
you can bleep me later if you want. I don't know, because sometimes I forget what I'm saying, but we know all those things are going on. But we all just, you know, human beings don't like to not know, right? We don't like to just be floating out there without the answers. So we keep looking and looking, even though we kind of know that that's not where the answers can be found. It's still lurking there.
Sure.
So I think I get hyper sensitive to people that are still trying to push that narrative constantly. You know, of course, we all want to chat about some things, but I think, I mean, even in the group, I know I've gotten a little bit like testy sometimes. And I'm actually, that, if you want to know the truth, that's the stage of waking up I'm in right now, is that I have to let everybody else have their experience. You know, I had my experience through that stuff. They've got to have theirs too. And it's not my place to tell people how to think or have their experience here. So I'm now, that is my next iteration, I guess you want to say.
Okay,
And
cool.
it's harder than the rest.
Yes, I mean, you know, I think the transition from conspiracy and being, you know, just being, this is what it is. The next transition is it's challenging. It has its challenges. What about you, Vicky? Where do you see yourself?
Yeah, I feel exactly the same way. I'm not really interested in the news. I'm not really interested in all the conspiracies anymore. I'm not trying to wake anybody up, and I was desperately trying to wake people up for a long time, a long time. You know, I probably put my business on the line. I was so out there all the time.
Yep.
And yet I hear people say it now. I've said this before on the group. I've got a friend and she is such a warrior. She is a massive warrior, and she's up in London and she's all over the country, and she's got her banners and she's got her signs and she's handing out the light paper to people, and she's so angry all the time. And she's lovely. I understand where she's coming from, but it is not helping her. She's very upset and depressed and frustrated, and I don't want to do that anymore. I mean, I had a period of time, and you know this, Gordon, where I wasn't very well. I've had my health struggles over about the last year and a half, and I think a lot of this has come about because of how I was obsessing about things in the world. And I think my body just said to me, and probably more than my body, my guides and my soul were like, enough. You know, this is enough. We're taking you down for a bit, and you're going to have a reassess, because this is not, it's not taking you anywhere good. And that, you know, that was when I had to take care of myself, and that's when I had to start doing things. I had no energy, so I had to start doing things that didn't require a lot of energy, and I had to look after myself. And that's when I started to realize that actually there's more to this. There's only so much I can do, and all I can do really is me. I can do me, and I can make myself better, and I can make myself happier, and I can be an example of happiness and joy and abundance to the world. But really, what other power do I have? Nothing. You know.
But that's all the power, though. That's what I'm finding out too, is that we didn't come here to wake everybody up. We came here to work on ourselves and do whatever that means, you know, whether that's just sitting on the couch eating bonbons or whatever, or helping a friend out, or starting a website, or whatever it is. It's just coming here, figuring out who you are, and raising your own vibration, and not worrying about what everybody else is doing, because maybe they're not even really there.
I've been thinking this today. I was thinking maybe we are not the ones who know it all. Maybe the people that we're trying to wake up are actually secretly going, we're not here to be woken up, and look at you trying to wake us up, and look at you tying yourself up in knots trying to wake us up, and
look at you being distracted.
And we're putting all our power and our energy into it, where we could be putting it in better places.
Sure. Let me I just ask you both a question about because you know the emissaries have talked about these steps, you know, waking up to the world, waking up to self, and then waking up to God, whatever that means. In terms of you mentioned that Val, you were brought up as a Christian, yes?
Yeah.
Where are you now?
Well, actually, my Christian faith is a trauma that I still need to heal, because I feel it is giving me blocks, because I revile. Even when you just said God, I kind of went, you know, like, you know, because it's just like all those terms, all those things just remind me of the oppression I was raised under, and I don't want any part of that. So I am really struggling now to come to terms with the idea of what is God, what does that mean, you know? So I clung to the word source for a long time, like, okay, just source, you know, we're all like fractals of source, but there's something still for me that isn't clicking. So to answer your question, I'm still seeking the answers for that.
Mm-hmm.
But I know I need to dump what isn't the right word, but I need to work on that trauma, because it's keeping me from exploring my trueness, because I can't look at those areas, you know.
I empathize completely with you, because that was what happened to me being brought up as a Jehovah's Witness. I hated everything that was organized religion, or God, or Jesus, or the Bible, whatever. And it's only been in the last couple of years that I've really warmed up to the whole subject. And now I would say my faith is stronger than it ever was when I was a pissy little Jehovah's Witness. Bad one as well. I was a bad one. What about you, Vicky? Where are you in your beliefs?
Well, mine was quite funny because when I was growing up, my parents were atheists and they were very, devout atheists. So I didn't have any religious upbringing at all. I mean, even to the point my dad his parents were religious and my mum's parents were as well, actually. But my mum refused to get married at the altar in the church, so she made a big thing about it and was like, a few steps back from it, which always seemed a little bit over the top to me. But when I was a child, I was curious about religion because it was a no-no. So I wasn't allowed to have a religion. Everything was no religion when you filled out the boxes on a form. We do not have a religion. And I was like, but hold on a minute, what if I want one? Because that's what I'm like. I'm this obstinate. I'll be like, yeah, okay, if I'm not allowed, I want to know why, and I'm going to probably do it anyway. So I remember being friends with a girl who lived across the road from me, and she was a Baptist. And so I used to go along with her to her Baptist church and watch people being baptized because I loved water. I'm a water baby. So the idea of being baptized to me and being put in this massive swimming pool and being dunked under, I thought was wonderful. But then I got a bit bored of it. And I decided it wasn't really for me. And it just didn't really ring true. There's something about religion that I couldn't, it just didn't sit well with me. There's, how can you have different religions and some are accepted and some aren't, and some, just because you follow one rather than another, and it never really sat right with me. I was just going through an awkward phase, I think, where I just wanted to do something that my parents said I couldn't. But no, so I've never been religious, but I've always known that there was more. I was thinking about this earlier. I've always known that I have a soul. And my children even say it to me now. Why do you think that this isn't all that there is? Why do you think that when we die, that's not the end of it? And I just say, because I know it's not. And they're like, we need more than that. I just know. I know that. And all throughout my life, if I've walked past a mirror or seen my reflection, I've always thought, oh, it always takes me by surprise, as though, oh, is that what I look like? I'd forgotten that's what I look like. Oh, that's what I look like this time round. I've always had that in my head. So I know that this isn't everything that I am. And this is not, this is just something I'm using at the moment. This is not what I look like as a soul. This is not me. So there's a knowing there. I know it absolutely completely. I don't know all the details. I just know that this is not everything. And this place is not the only place I've ever been. I know that. And I have struggled in my life with this place because I do find it hard and harsh, and I do feel like I've been in kinder places before, and that's probably suited who I am better. So I do struggle a bit, and I do find it hard when people would think badly of me. That's something that I've had to deal with in my life, especially over my awakening, when people would accuse me of all kinds of horrible things. I think, can they not see what's in my heart? I thought it was obvious, but that's just one of my journeys. Excuse my dogs.
That's okay.
I'm going to put myself on mute for a second.
Okay. Well, listen, let me ask a question then about that. Val, when we worked together, we did Higher Self, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah. Did we do past life regression as well?
I don't think we did.
No.
Now I can't remember now.
Okay. So just what do you think that was then? Talking to your higher self. Where would you put that in your framework of beliefs at the moment?
I think that the higher self, I guess, I'm getting to a different understanding now of what soul is, though. So I mean, maybe my higher self is like my spirit, or who I actually am, my essence. You know, whoever it was that sent me here, that's the other piece of me, you know, the real me, I guess, outside this avatar, this body that I picked here.
So you do have a belief that this isn't the only existence that you're in at the moment.
Oh, absolutely. I never dumped that part of it and became like, my husband is an atheist and he thinks that once this is done, that's it. There's nothing. I never felt that was true.
Yeah.
I mean, I came to when I finally was able to dump religion, it's because of that one argument that people come up with, like there's scriptures in the Bible that say faith is a gift from God, right? So no man can boast. So I'm like, all right, it's given to you freely. You didn't do anything to get it, but yet but I'm not a good Christian, so I guess I didn't get that gift. So I'm going to be tortured in hell for all eternity for something that I had no control over, because it was going to be a gift.
That's right.
That when I finally said that to myself, I had that argument with a lot of people, and I had all the arguments to try and talk them out of it. And now I can't think of one of them. Like, what did I say to people? What malarkey was I saying to people to justify that belief? So while I dumped those trappings, I never really felt that this was all there was.
Okay.
And that there isn't something beyond just me, like that I'm part of.
Yeah. And Vicky, is it clear now?
It's never clear in my house. But yeah, I think so. I think I'm safe.
Okay, I've just got a question on Vicky. How long have you been doing the hypnosis now and past life regression?
Oh, it must be. Is it coming up for 2 years in
2
January?
years? Yeah. Okay.
I think so.
So you've had past life regressions done to you, and you've also been the facilitator of past life regressions. Having listened to all of these experiences and having had them, has it changed your perception of things?
Sort of. I mean, I was very open to it anyway. It's always really interested me. I think the thing that surprised me was I thought it would just be that we'd be going back to different lives on Earth. And quite often it doesn't seem to be that. And even, I mean, I had one experience, and it was probably the most powerful one out of all of them. And I couldn't even tell you where I was. And I just was like an energy. It wasn't even like I had a shape or a form. But it was the most powerful one, and that was more than I'd expected it to be. I just expected it to be kind of like a history story.
Sure.
You know, oh, I'll go to this era, or I'll go to that era, and maybe if I'm lucky, it'd be one that I've heard of, and I might be someone important. And the other thing is, you don't ever really become an important person in the past life regression, but it is so important. You know, the messages are so clear. And that was the other thing that I hadn't realized, how powerful it was, that when you're there, you're just like, of course, and yes, that makes sense, and I know exactly why I'm here, and everything makes perfect sense when you're there. Yeah. And you know exactly why you were taken there at that particular time, and I didn't realize it would be that powerful, and I do really enjoy doing it and facilitating, you know, other people to go there as well. It's really powerful, and it's just fascinating listening to other people.
Yeah. You know what I find interesting about this? I've had lots of conversations with people. You know, everyone has a different opinion about what this is when people go back to another life or whatever. I don't know what it is. But what I'm aware of is that something shifted, and I used to they always went back to the earth when I started, always. And then lately everybody's from other places. And it's what's really interesting is that, like you say, the times, the experiences that people have had that have been, wow, like mega emotional, mega tears, You know, I remember having one gentleman, he was crying, but sobbing. And because he was an angel that was looking after a past civilization, and he didn't keep it safe, and it got destroyed, and he hadn't done the job right. And it was like, wow, these are really intense experiences. What they are, I don't know. Or the truth, I don't know. It doesn't matter. I don't care, really. But I just see a bit of a shift happening in terms of where people's perception is about. You know, you talked about this. This isn't the only place that I've been. Yeah. And that's very common. It's very common. My higher self said, no, I've only ever been on the earth. That's where my job's been. Here. Why? I don't know, but that's my job, you know. But loads of other people are coming from other places according to the narrative that they give us, you know.
I feel very connected to Earth, and I don't know, maybe I should have another session with you, Gordon, to do past life regression, because specifically, because every time people start to talk about, oh, I want to leave here, you know, I want to go back to home, and I'm like, this is home. You know, that's always the feeling I've always had. So I'd like to understand more about that.
Sure.
And maybe that has something to do with the psychedelic experience I had, where I was in the forest, you know, and some kind of elemental, I guess I don't know exactly what, but maybe that experience has something to do with why I'm feeling like so attached to Earth.
Sure. Well, you know, from all of the high, because I've talked to a lot of higher self, and I asked lots of questions, and there seems to be the consensus is that it's only been recently that all of these beings have had to be called in from other places. Before it was just us on the earth, but because it wasn't everything was going a bit tits up, and they had to bring in some reinforcements. And so all of these beings who were saying, you know, it's like you hear these expressions like, he's very down to earth. He's a very down to earth person, you know? And I think that, you know, that's the kind of the energy that people who are earthbound are. And then you've got the other
in
energy,
the clouds.
yeah, who are a little bit flighty, you know, a little bit flighty.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think we've got a big mix of beings from very different places at the moment.
You say that. I can't tell you how many times people have said that, oh, you're so down to earth.
Sure, and they say that to me as well.
Yeah.
They never say it to me.
Because you're in the clouds.
I am. I've been trying to get away. No. I do feel like that. I feel like this is hard here. And this is not something that's just been since my awakening. I have felt this my whole life, or this whole life, that I don't understand the nature of this place. I love it. I absolutely adore nature. I adore the animals. That's where I'm at my absolute happiest. But it's probably, I suppose it's humans. I don't really understand.
Well, you're hypersensitive to the distortion. You know, many of us didn't feel it until we did wake up. But it seems to me like you have this feeling of the distortion, you know. I forget about it a lot. Like, honestly, I'll go about my days and there'll be times when I forget all about the issues that are going on. But then I come back and remember.
You go, God damn it. Yeah. So
like,
question for you about status quo. Right. So 4 years ago, these group of beings came to me and said, hey, we're in the middle of the Great Awakening. We're not in the middle, we're at the beginning, not the middle. At the beginning of the Great Awakening, we want you to give this message about the Great Awakening. And they've only ever talked about the Great Awakening, yeah? Where do you see us in that process, if we are in the Great Awakening? Where do you see us? Vicky, where do you see us now?
My views on this change, and obviously no one really knows, but I think we're in the process. I think that things are changing, that things are shifting, the balance is shifting from where it has been. I think it's a cycle, so I do think that this has happened before, but I do believe that this is different this time. for whatever reason, that maybe it didn't quite work each time, and that something, like you say, more resources are being pulled in from elsewhere to make it more powerful this time, almost like it needs to stick. I do think that we're probably in a place, the planet, Mother Earth, Gaia, is in a place where she's being challenged and changed, and that things need to happen to I almost feel like she needs to shake off a few fleas. You know, like they say, the dog and the fleas. I feel like sometimes the humans are the fleas that need to be shaken off a bit. But yeah, I think we're in the process, but I don't think the process is quite how we were thinking it was. I don't think it's this, I can't see this mass awakening of everybody. I don't think everybody is supposed to awaken, whether it's this time, this lifetime. You know, if it's going to be a long period of time that we're going through this, maybe some people will come back in another lifetime, and then that will be their time to awaken. I can't see everybody awakening, but I do think that there's a proportion of people that are. And I think the awakening, from what I'm learning and I'm experiencing at the moment, is the awakening is us awakening to ourselves. Nothing else. It's us learning what we came here for, understanding the physical, understanding that our thoughts are put into the physical for us to experience them, and that we're here to create. And that everything that we're creating in here is being created in our physical. And I believe that is what it's all about. And the more people that start to learn and understand that and put that into practice, and it's really hard because we have been taught and brainwashed, hypnotized, haven't we, into these thoughts that hold us back and create resistance and stop us creating. It's just us waking up to who we are, and the more of us that do it, the more beauty and wonder we're going to create in the world.
That's nice. A nice take on it. Yeah. So it's the waking up to self. That's the job. Interesting, because on the 11th, 10th, is it 11th and 12th? 11th and 12th, we're doing the self-forgiveness. So it's part of waking up to self, forgiving self. So if you want to join that,
I might have to jump on that one.
Yeah, it's going to be cool. There's going to be a lot of tears. A lot of tears before bedtime.
Oh, not more.
Yeah, it's got to be. Yeah. If you're doing self-work, you've got to cry with it. I'm looking forward to it as well. I've got some shit to clear. So Val, where do you see us in this process? Is there a great awakening happening? If so, how is it happening?
I absolutely think that there is, just mainly because of what I see in my own life, as far as my friends, right? Most of my friends are not awake. Even my best friend, she listens to me. She gives me all the room I need to say the crazy things, but I know she doesn't believe them. But that's okay. But what I see around me is a lot more people, not even just open to the conspiracy stuff, but that's off the charts. I feel like people are just like, what is going on? This is not right. So I feel that we're coming to some kind of jumping point, and I don't even know what that means. I don't have like you, Gordon. I don't have emissaries to chat with, and nobody gives me these great messages. So I kind of listen to what other people are saying and intuitively take into myself what I resonate with, and that kind of gets me where I need to be. But I feel that we are really close to something big, and there's a few hurdles that we have to go through on a physical level, which I know that they're here. We see them right in front of us. And my husband, he even laughs now because he's like, everything you said is happening now. Because he was always like, no one's ever going to pay for this. No one's ever going to get brought to justice. No one's ever going to do anything. And now we look around us and this stuff is coming forward. and things are changing. And I'm not saying it's going to be pleasant for a while, but I think it's going to be all worth it. And all I can say is there's this feeling welling up in me. It's not anxiety. It's not anything I can put my finger on. Maybe anticipation is the closest thing I can think, you know, that something is around the corner. And I want to know what it is, damn it. But I don't. So that's kind of where I am, just this hopeless anticipation, right?
Okay. I listened to JCK posted an interview with the guys who did the Red Pill Revolution book, you know, the one that right at the beginning of all of this. I don't know if you've heard of it. Red Pill Revolution. The idea was this book was kind of like conspiracy light to try and help to wake people up. So I was listening to these guys chatting, and it was really interesting. What happened was I was on Sundays. I record all the videos for the week. So I'd done all of these videos, all the messages from the emissaries, blah, 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 blah. And I sat down and I listened to these two guys, and they did my 4 videos in a row. But they were using the same words. They were using the same words and like really key words. And I was saying, wow, that is incredible. But what they were doing, it happens a lot. What they were doing was they were talking about the Great Awakening, and they were saying it's happening and it's massive. We just don't know it yet because we don't have the networks to let us know that the people who are waking up aren't joining networks.
Right.
Just waking up.
Yeah.
But they can see it in the things like they mentioned in Australia, you know, I don't know if you know, they were trying to do this thing with the Aboriginal people and get the Australians to vote them. And
Voice, wasn't it called The Voice or something like that?
Something. When they were saying that if you didn't do it, you were racist. You know, so it was a big thing like this. 70% of the Australians said no, even though there was this massive propaganda saying, do it or be racist. They were talking about the ULEZ, you know, the ULEZ fiasco down there. And there's this group of people called the Blade Runners now who are going around cutting down the cameras. And 95% of all of the cameras are cut down. 95%.
That's great.
Yeah, and then so they said, right, we'll just do portable cameras. We'll bring them in on trucks. Yeah, and people are going there and doing protests and putting the sign in front of the camera or setting up a picnic stall in front of the camera. So what they were saying, and they give lots of examples, but what they were saying was that there's a rumble in the jungle now. People are not saying, they're not able to just look at it and say that's okay anymore, you know, because it's becoming vulgar, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's becoming vulgar because they're cranking up so much. It's become superficial and vulgar and doesn't make any sense. I think you said that before about not making any sense anymore. Yeah, so they were very, very pro the Great Awakening, but I think both of your takes on that is great because I agree with them both, you know. And I think
do you think that there's a difference between people seeing things like that and standing up for it and people actually having this spiritual awakening? Do you think that people are going to go through both, or that we've just got some people doing, say, the protesting and seeing what's actually happening in the physical, but not actually going through that spiritual awakening? Because that's kind of how I'm seeing it. But that we maybe need both.
I think that's a very valid point. That when I'm, you know, if you take Peaceful Rebellion, the group that we and how long has that been running now? 3 years? Peaceful Rebellion, perhaps.
Seems like it's been,
yeah, maybe 3 years. It's on Telegram. If you're a nice person, you can come and join us. We'll put the link down below. But I've seen this evolution in people. Because at the beginning when we started, even though I was saying, look, this is a safe space, let's try and keep it light. But people were angry and furious and, whoa, you know, and then I watched this evolution happen where suddenly people were saying, you know, hey, I've had this spiritual experience and I'm thinking about God and thinking about this and, you know, and Jesus. And I was thinking, wow, this is beautiful. But it took 3 years. You know, it's a process that we have to go through. And so I think yes, people will wake up to what's happening. It's the first step. They've got to. I don't think the second step can happen without the first step. But will everybody take that second step? I don't know. I don't know.
One thing that resonated with me, a story someone told how they envision it is that some of us will ascend. I don't, people talk about fifth dimension. I don't even, know if that's a real thing or not, but the idea of it. But then the people that aren't ready for the spiritual growth yet will stay here, will stay in third dimension or maybe fourth, but without the distortions. So there's still going to be a lot of work to do for them. And for me, if I'm still here, but it won't be as difficult. We won't have that oppressive, weight on our chest. We'll be able to grow in the way we were meant to. And that really resonated with me.
Yeah. Certainly the emissaries have talked about a bifurcation where there's going to be some sort of split. They don't go into details, but there's going to be some kind of split off. I don't know. Because I mean, I do see that we've got, when you spend time with people, you can be with people like yourselves, and there's like this, there's a different vibe that goes on, which is, tell me what you think. I'm happy to listen to anything that you think. I'm open to whatever. I won't agree with it all, but I listen to it. Yeah, that's the vibe where I think this is the waking. When you wake up to yourself, and that as Anthony de Mello says, there should be a book called "I'm an Arse, You're an Arse." Yeah. When you wake up to yourself, you realize that, hey, it's not such a big deal. But there's another vibe, which are people they will fight to the death for their beliefs. And whether that they can be awakened to the world and they'll still fight to the death for their beliefs, So it's kind of like there are two vibes going on, where clearly the people who have the vibe of, we are the flower power people, aren't we, really? We're the hippies that are going to move on.
But that's now. Somebody has to play the bad, right?
Sure.
And I'm sure in one incarnation or more, I've been the bad guy too. So I think we have to remember that we're all in this together, even though I know that'll probably piss a lot of people off, just to say, like, I think your anger and hate at the baddies, it is kind of a waste of time. Because it's just part of the progression that we're in right now. And to hate them is to hate us, to hate ourselves, really. It's hard to grasp that, but
I agree entirely. I mean, if you think about it, and in the macro level, if we all came from source, the bodies came from source too. So as you say, somebody had to do the dirty work, didn't they? Somebody had to do the dirty job. Many times, in many respects, I look at what the baddies are doing, and I quite admire the hard work. I mean,
they're thorough. They're thorough.
And they are hard workers. You can't take it away. They've worked hard.
Clever,
yes.
Clever.
And they know us. They
Absolutely.
know how our brains work.
Yeah, they've done their homework.
But Vicky, you hit on something that I feel is so important, because the spiritual part, you asked, like, are people going to wake up spiritually? And what you said before is the spiritual part really is just remembering who we are. So that's going to happen to everybody, whether it happens now or in their next incarnation, or how that's going to work. Or
I think that's what I'm sort of realizing, that I believe is happening, that we're all going to get there at some point. It just might not be right now. And this 3D, 4D, 5D, I almost feel like I've experienced this. I don't know if either of you had this, but when we were going through the lockdowns here, and people were wearing masks, and people were very kind of aggressive about everything, weren't they? And I know people that didn't want to wear the mask but were frightened to say it, so they would just do it anyway. And I literally was of the mindset, I'm not going to wear one and no one's going to make me. And I actually got to a point where I felt like when I went out, I was invisible. And I think that was a different dimension, because
It
no
must
one
have been.
challenged me. No one challenged me, and I
It must have
just
been. 'Cause I
sailed
did not
through.
have that experience, Vicky.
Oh,
I got in almost 2 fist fights. I got chased in Costco. I decided to try that, to go into my own dimension and just ignore them. And I walked past the lady at the front desk without a mask on, and she's like, "Come back!" And then I hear some of the loudspeakers, you know, the blah blah blah, and people come running. I'm like, all right, whatever. Because I live in a very liberal, I live in a really liberal area, so masks were everywhere. There wasn't like, but I'm not doing it this time if they try this again.
No.
I'm gonna join you.
Yeah, do it. Yeah, I was a bit of a, I have to admit, well, I was ready for the fight, and I was quite disappointed that I never got one.
I must be a better manifester than you.
There we are.
Because I was ready for a fight too, and I got them.
I was ready, like, come on, bring it on. And then I was like, no one's taking any notice of me. I'm really disappointed.
I love that you said that. I love that.
It's true. And I had a couple of occasions where I had to go into hospital, and I thought they were going to challenge me then, and they didn't. The only time I actually got into an argument with somebody was when there was a young boy in the supermarket down the road, and he was coming in not wearing a mask, and I'd walked straight in not wearing one, and no one had said nothing, nothing to me at all, not anything. And he walked in, and because he was probably 13, 14, they pounced on him, and they said, right, get a mask. And his friend was putting one on quickly, and he was saying, but my mum said I'm not allowed to. No, we don't care. Put it on. And that was my cue. I'm not sure. Don't you dare make him wear that mask, and don't you dare put that mask on your face if your mum's told you not to. And shame on you, woman, for telling him that he must. And yeah, I did do my bit. So I think I got it in once. But the rest of the time, no, they just completely ignored me. I was literally like I was invisible. Yeah. And the other time when I feel like I've kind of got into a different dimension is with friendships that I've lost. And I literally, people that I would see all the time, even in the street, out and about, that were my friends, really close friends of mine, and because of the way I was, and they walked away from me, I've never seen them. It's like they have literally disappeared off the planet. I don't hear about them. I don't have anything. There's nothing. And that's where I feel like I'm in the same place, but I'm not in the same place. Sure. And I wonder if that is what these different dimensions are, that actually we're still here. Because they talk about, say, in a war situation, there are always those that benefit, and not always in a bad way, not by doing people down, just by their mental attitude, that they're like, no, I don't live in this. This isn't my reality. And they can go through some really difficult situation and not be tarnished by it. Sure. And yet others are falling by the wayside. And I wonder, is this what being in a different dimension is all about? I don't know. What do you think?
It could well be, and I think it's this. What do the gurus talk about? You've got to let go of all attachments. Yeah. And I think when you're attached to 3D, when it's very, very important to you, then yes, it affects you. But when you drop those attachments and you cut them, then energetically it doesn't hit you the way it does when you're in it. So it's kind of like. But I think that at the moment where we are, we float in and we float out. Sometimes I feel very 3D, and sometimes I feel very 5D. Just depends on the moment, So, and I don't even know what that means. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. I'm saying it because everyone says it, but but it's like interdimensional. I think we can move depending on our frequency.
Oh, definitely. And I think sometimes you just feel great, don't you? And then something can happen and you forget to feel great. I mean, how silly is that? And you get sucked up into the world again, don't you? It's like it's got its claws on you, and you have to kind of shake it off and say, no, get off, leave me be.
Of course. Yeah, sorry, Val, I cut you off.
Oh no, I think the thing that helps me with that sometimes is to remember that I chose my experiences. Like we come here, I don't think you choose like to say that like something was going to fall off the counter, but the big major things that you knew you were going to go through, maybe you didn't decide how it was going to happen, but those bad times, those good times, you kind of wanted those experiences. So nothing can harm you in that environment, you know? So that helps for me anyway, just be like, okay, this is going to pass. And I just went through another financial issue about 8 months ago. My husband was out of work for almost 6 months. And so last time I would have had a breakdown, but this time I just noticed that it just kind of flowed differently. And I also realized that I was using my manifestation powers negatively. So I snapped out of it and I said, all right, do the things you know to do. And sure enough, within a month, everything started getting back on track. So it really is just where you put your focus, you know?
You know, both of you have mentioned something. I think it's important, this remembering and forgetting. And you were saying, Vicky, when you remember who you are, you feel great. When you forget, you don't feel so great. And that's pretty much what you're saying as well. And I think this is, this step of remembering who we are. That is, as you say, Vicky, that's why we're here. But sometimes we forget, but that's okay, because we're here on earth. We didn't come here to be the Buddha.
Yeah.
We came here to have this experience, and that means that we step in and we step out, 1 foot in, 1 foot out. But it's a dodgy place to be. It's like trying to walk the fence, because if you slip, but that's kind of where we've got to be in two worlds.
Yeah. If we knew when we, like right now, if I knew for a fact, because I saw it, went there in a dream or whatever, but knew for an absolute fact that I was divine, I came here on purpose, I'm going to live forever. I feel those things, I know those things, but not really. You know what I mean? Exactly. So if I knew those things, my experience here would not be very interesting.
Exactly that. I don't know whether you heard me talk about this. The emissaries a couple of times have allowed me to feel something, the compassion of God. That's what they called it. They're very religious, the emissaries. The compassion of God. They let me feel it. And it was the most intense experience that I burst into tears and I couldn't breathe or anything. And then they took it away and I couldn't remember what it was like. And I said, why can I not remember it? And they said, it wouldn't help you in this where you are. It won't help you to know that feeling, because then you wouldn't, you think, shit with everything. I'm going to sit down and meditate,
Well, and then you can just bug out anytime you want. Like, and there is no experience, there's no growth, there's no figuring things out,
Exactly. We did come here to do some work, it's the inner work, but we came here to do some work. Listen, the time we've been talking for an hour, so what I would like to do, if you don't mind, just to wind up, I'd like you just to let me know, both of you have channels, yes, that you're working on, yeah? So Val, what's your channel and what's it about?
My channel is called the Higher Vibe Project, and there's just a couple of videos up now. I had a partner that I was going to work on it with, but she decided it was too much for her at the time. So I'm kind of figuring out which direction I want to go with it. But what I want to do is kind of talk about the things that we were talking about today. And I've gotten really great at manifesting, and manifesting specific things, like really specific things. So I want to teach people about that. Ooh. and about how, healing your trauma helps with manifestation. There's a lot of things that keep you up on that. So the channel is going to be basically about that. And it's not airy fairy. You got to be happy all the time, because I don't buy into that either. But like we talked about, once you catch yourself getting into this lower vibration, just spin it around and remember what you're here for and what you need to do. But anyway, that's what the channel is going to be about. Ooh. I'll also talk a little bit about business, because I also help people like you and you, Vicky. I've been in internet marketing since 2005, and I used to be in a very low vibe niche, which was make money online. So all the people I worked with were, you can imagine. So I changed my focus to, I call them conscious entrepreneurs. So I want to help people that are doing good things in the world. I want to help them with their branding and their websites and things like that. And then help people that already have websites but are ready to take that next step, help them build courses out and do email marketing with their lists and stuff like that. So I'll do a little bit of talking about that on the channel as well.
Cool. So we'll put your channel link in the information. And if you want to subscribe and help Val, that would be lovely. And what about you, Vicky? What's your channel and what to do?
So my channel is quite new and it's called Bringing in the Light. And the reason I chose that is because I kind of feel that's what I'm here to do. That's what my higher self told me when I did a higher self session with you, Gordon, that I was here to bring in the light. And so that's what I've called it. And I do a lot of talking on it. I haven't posted anything for a little while, but it's really my take on things. What I want is to try and put a bit of positivity out there.
Yeah, me too.
So yeah, and I think that's how we're all feeling, isn't it? In whatever avenue we choose to do it, it's that we want to give something, we want to help people, we want to comfort people. I talk a lot about when I meditate and I talk to my guides, they give me so much information. And so it's just kind of current themes that I'm talking about. The other thing I'm doing is my t-shirts.
Yes, of course. I've got it down here. T-shirts. Nature is my happy place.
Yeah, it is. Today it is, yeah. Tomorrow it might be a different thing.
So tell us about the t-shirts, yeah.
Yeah, the t-shirts it's just a little hobby that I've got that I've been quite enjoying doing. But I thought I wanted again to put some positivity out in the world, and I thought, a nice way to do it is just to put some writing on some clothing and take it out into the world and just let people see it. So yeah, just putting positive messages out there that people might talk to you about. I've got my Peaceful Rebellion t-shirt as well, so I'll wear that, and my Sovereign t-shirts, and yeah, so, and I've just been doing t-shirts for people as well. So bless them, there's a local group near me that it's for youngsters, that they call it army training, army youths, and they wanted some t-shirts printed up, so I'm doing some for them, and I've not really charge them very much money because they're just volunteer group, but things like that, just putting some nice things out into the world, some nice wording, the wording they say, it's like spells, isn't it? It's
absolutely,
yeah,
putting that out, putting the positivity out. If you're wearing the positivity, if people are seeing it, they're reading it, they're talking it, putting it out into the world. If I'm speaking it into the world, like you said before, Gordon, it doesn't matter who's listening to it. If you've put it out there, it's there, isn't it? And that's really my take on it all. Yeah, and just positivity. Just want to put a bit of light out there, a bit of help to push this great awakening through, because we all want it to happen, don't we?
I'm bloody sure we do. So I will put your link as well in the video description, okay, and also your email if anyone's interested in ordering a t-shirt. I've got the Peaceful Rebellion t-shirts. I haven't got it on because it's cold.
I know. I've been cold today.
I know. I'm looking at you with the t-shirt. I'm thinking, bloody hell, you're in the UK. Yeah. So listen, that was a lovely chat, and I'd like to do this again in the future. We'll revisit, maybe if we can get Harry to come and all of us together, that'd be fun. Thank you very much for your time, and thank you for your positivity as well. We do need it, and I think every bit helps, doesn't it?
Yep,
definitely.
No fear.
There's nothing to fear. Nothing. We haven't got anything to worry about. We just haven't.
No.
We came here to do this, so let's just do it.
Yeah. Exactly. And just hang on, a little bit. That's all. Let's not be impatient. I think we wanted it all done in the first year. Remember, we wanted everything cleared and finished in the first year.
But you're gonna miss all the things you're supposed to go through if you try and rush everything.
Well, exactly.
Yeah, there's a time and a place for it all.
Yeah. Can you imagine though if they'd told us back then how long that in 2-3 years you'll still be sitting there talking about it? We'd have been like,
I know, right?
No. Yeah. I was expecting that, the white hats to come in, sort it all out, and I'd be having a picnic by 2022.
Yeah.
But hey, we're still having a picnic. It's just not the picnic that I had in mind.
You know what?
And we have to remember that in the midst of all of everything that's going on, you can manifest what you want. You can, you still live a great life, even though the world seems to be falling apart.
More so now, faster than
ever.
Sorry, Vicky, you were going to say
it's
something.
Scary, actually.
I was going to say exactly the same thing as Val. It's all about just enjoying your life. Why waste it? There's so much beauty. There's so many wonderful things. I meing, I've been off horse riding and I love it. I am obsessed with it at the moment. But find something that's your passion and go and do it. That's putting more positivity out into the world.
I think looking back now, where we are now and where we were, I think that the plan, stroke, demic, and all of that, it's the best thing that ever happened to us.
True. Oh, yeah.
And I think we will, in the future, we will look back on these times and think, wow, they were just the best times ever. Really, I think we'll be, oh, can you remember that? Oh, my God, look how strong we were. Yeah.
And how lucky we were to come, because not everybody, there's a line, right?
Yeah.
There's a line.
Absolutely. Yeah, there's a queue in heaven waiting for places. Yeah, apparently. Okay.
Oh, there you go with those God in heaven words. No.
Oh, sorry. There's a queue on the other side. Yeah, it's just spirit beings, but we don't know where they come from.
And they're all standing there now going, oh, maybe we were quite glad that we were a bit further back in the queue. Yeah,
they're listening going, they don't know what they're talking about. We know it's all love and light. Come on then. Try it out if you dare. So, right, well, listen, lovely to talk to you both. Thank you very much.
Thanks for having us.
Okay, and we'll talk again. Okay, and subscribe to the 2 channels, please. Help Vicky and Val. Yeah. All right. Take care.
See you later. Lots of love.